and welcome to Tom's Garage. It's season 3 still, episode 4. This is part 2, the continuation of all the cars I've ever owned. As we ended that last episode, I said, my friend said, Tom, you've gone to the dark side. I've always been a Porsche fan and admired German craftsmanship up to the point where I've purchased 6 Porsches up to date. However, things were to change. I'm a big F1 fan and a Ferrari team follower. I was fascinated with F1 shifting that Ferrari had developed to the point where I considered purchasing one. Check out this historical video of me on my 58th birthday and you'll understand.
Okay, Tom, tell us about the F1 shifting. Let's see what the F1 shifting does.
Well, you know that there's on either side of the steering wheel, the right side is for up, there's a paddle there, and on this side is a paddle. So this is up and this is down. So when you start off, when you're at a signal, you just sit there going,
And yes, I went to the dark side according to my Porsche friends. I purchased this 2007 Ferrari 430 with 13,000 miles back in August 2009. It's got 490 horsepower and it goes 0 to 64 seconds. The Ferrari was a whole different animal than the Porsche. Not particularly better, but different. Enzo Ferrari would say, when you buy a Ferrari, you buy my engine, and we throw the chassis in for free. The F1 shifting experience was amazing. Shifting speeds up to 150 milliseconds. And of course, we all know about the Ferrari engines. We have to remember that Ferrari was the only one in the market with F1 style shifting back then. And Ferrari will not let you purchase a new car unless you've already owned other Ferraris. So 6 months later, after my 430 purchase, I was put on the list for the new coming model, which took some dealer persuasion, even owning a Ferrari, as I had to threaten that I was going to get one of the new McLarens that was just coming to market, and Ferrari was kind of worried about that. Although the new Ferrari had a long tunnel waiting list, 2 years. Finally, after waiting over 2 years, my 2012 Ferrari 458 Italia, spec'd with $65,000 worth of options, arrived at the dealer. You know those emblems on the side? $1,500 for those. You'd think they'd throw those in for free. The car had 562 horsepower at a screaming 9,000 RPMs. 0 to 62 miles per hour at 3.4 seconds. All the hype I heard about this car for years was true. And what's so special about this car is that it had a dual clutch transmission, new technology. Let me give you a brief description of this transmission because it's so cool. Clutch 1 is the red gears and clutch 2 is the green gears. When you start off in first gear, the other clutch is already in second gear waiting. Just engage and release clutches. No waiting for the transmission to shift gears. It's like that all the way up the range. It's so cool. The 458 was very fast. Very fast. I wanted to harness all the 458 had to offer, so I decided to get track instruction. I took 3 Ferrari Ferrari driving courses throughout North America. Two of them at Circuit of Americas in Austin, Texas. That's where they have the F1 race. And we had the track all to ourselves to rip around. It was a bucket list type item. Great instruction from the Ferrari drivers as I continued to hone my skills. It was a rush. I started touring other tracks like Miller Raceway in Utah, the longest straightaway in North America, 3,000 feet. I was hooked. I had become a track rat.
Le Mans, June 14th, 1998. It was here that the idea of a road-going Porsche, based exclusively on race technology, originally took shape. With an open-top monocoque and engine subframe made of lightweight carbon fiber. Powered by a new evolution of a thoroughbred racing V10. Developing 612 horsepower at 8,000 RPM. And weighing just 205 kilograms.
Yes, I had gone back to Porsche. As Tom Cruise says,
Porsche. There is no substitute.
I still had my 458 and room in my garage. This was a huge step and was the start of my car collection. At the time I didn't realize how significant this car was, all the mystique that surrounded it. I purchased this 2005 Porsche Carrera GT with 3,000 miles back in 2012. It was my 10th purchase to date. 10 years since my last Porsche car. The seller would not let me drive the car until I bought it. So I went on the Porsche forum and found someone that would let me drive their Carrera GT in exchange of driving my 458. 1 week after I drove the car, I bought it. The economy was just coming out of the great financial recession. The car was a distressed sale. Because of it, I was able to pick it up for $340,000, which was a lot for an old car. The Ferrari 458 Italia was like a magic carpet ride with all its technology. However, the Porsche Carrera GT was a whole different animal. The racing heritage was evident. It was very analog and basically a race car. It's a driver's car, and if you don't treat it with respect, you're going to crash it. Paul Walker died in the car just weeks after I bought it, and then I started hearing all the stories. Quite a few wrecks and deaths with this car. Even Tiger Woods bought one and spun it out on the way home and returned it to the dealer immediately. Many had the same experience, although I wasn't going to do the same. I love the analog feel and the screaming sound of that F1 drive engine. After a few years, the value of the car tripled from what I paid for it. I still believe it's undervalued, and I will never sell this car. I and many others agree it's the best analog supercar that was ever built, period. Well, except for the McLaren F1.
It's called the Mono, and it's amazing. The engine may be from a Ford People Carrier, but it's been fettled by Cosworth, so now it produces 280 horsepower. And fitting a 280 horsepower heart in a car which weighs just half a ton is, well, the effects are going to be profound.
I saw that episode on Top Gear, and I wanted this car so bad. And in fact, the North America distributor was only 45 minutes away. The only downside was the wait for production was over 2 years, and that was a maybe. This car is number 25 in the production, manufactured by Briggs Automotive Company in Liverpool, England. It's a 2015 model, their first generation. This was my 11th car purchase. So why would somebody get this car? Well, maybe it's from my experience in a single-seater ride when I was young. Maybe deep inside I wanted to be an F1 driver. Maybe because the car is so light I can pull it out of the garage with my big toe. Maybe it's because it's the ultimate track rat toy. Maybe because you can drive this Formula car on city streets into Starbucks and Home Depot. And maybe it's so comfortable with my body molded seat that I can take a nap. Well, it could be all those. But there still was one thing missing. I needed a racetrack. So I became a member of Spring Mountain Motor Ranch in Pahrump, Nevada, soon to be the longest racetrack in the world. Hi, and I still own 2 of those cars. Hope you enjoyed part 2. Part 3 coming. I still have 4 cars to go. Take care, and thanks for watching Tom's Garage.